Hi, everyone. After the show today, I had a few thoughts that I wanted to share, particularly on the isolation topic that we covered, because it seemed to be such a fundamental part of the guest experience. And for me, it's such a foundational part of why I do this show and why I work with women and run groups and retreats and workshops. So I posted a blog about this, but I want to go into it a little bit more in detail. Barbara Sher, who's a famous life coach, she's still around, but she's been writing since the 70s, once said, "Isolation is the dream killer." And I really thought about this. I could not agree more, because my whole journey has come to show me that by hiding myself behind masks, by trying to look as if everything's okay, by struggling to fit in with other people, or really, I didn't struggle as much to fit in as just to please other people and to be nice and pleasing, I was actually creating sort of an isolation bubble. It's not that I was alone. I was always very extroverted. I had a lot of friends, but I couldn't feel them. I didn't feel loved, even though I am, and I was. I didn't feel close to people, and I had this constant refrain going through my head that both of our guests today actually referred to in their own words, which is, if they only knew me, they wouldn't love me. If they only knew me, they wouldn't love me. So that's how I lived my life. And what happens when you live your life that way is you just keep proving it to yourself, because no one can ever get in close enough. People can't really experience you. They can't experience the texture and your dynamic nature, because you're working so hard to keep a certain image or a certain part of yourself from being revealed. That's intimacy, people. Having people see who you really are, getting to know you, letting them in. So in essence, you believe you're unlovable, and then you continue by blocking real, true intimacy in your life. So you can go out to coffee with people, and I had drinks, and I caught up, and I talked about my relationships or my career, but I didn't really scratch the surface to show what was going on a deep level inside of me. The self-criticism, the doubt, the fear. I mean, I've always been an existentialist, so my existential angst over meaning in life and loss and what it means to be human. So by living in this bubble where I was the only one going through what I was going through, and I was uniquely screwed up. This is something I talk about in my blog. It's like reverse narcissism. We walk around thinking we are uniquely screwed up. We are the ones who will never be entitled to love, even though we might believe everybody else in the world has a right to it and deserves it. It leaves us feeling alone, and then we start creating self-fulfilling prophecies around that. So there was nothing more healing to me in my whole journey than sitting with a therapist, sitting in group therapy. I had to do all of this for school also, so I was exposed to the gamut. And also being with good friends. And slowly but surely letting them see me. And not just the packaged version of me where I would tell my stories after they've already been processed, and I'd share them very eloquently and very articulately. I mean, much like I'm doing right now. But the real vulnerable part. Showing people what it was like when I'm in process, when I'm not feeling strong, when I'm confused or hurt, sad. And in doing that, I faced a fear, because my fear was people were going to run from me. I still remember thinking this. I was going to go to therapy, and I would share what was going on with me, and the guy would run screaming. That was what I thought. And he didn't. And not only did he not run screaming, he teared, because what I said moved him. And he held what was happening for me in empathy and validated it. And it was actually, I remember being shocked, surprised. I couldn't imagine it. But then I was so relieved. And it gave me the confidence to then try it in a group. And then it gave me the confidence to try it with my friends. And each time I took a leap and faced this fear, I became more and more comfortable in my own skin. And when I was down and I couldn't see past how I could possibly get myself to stand up, I knew I had these people who wouldn't judge me for being in that space that I could turn to, and who, yes, sometimes give you a crutch and help you stand and remind you of who you are when you can't remember yourself. Thinking we are the only ones with problems, keeping them to ourselves, making sure we look, perfect to the outside world, these things keep us trapped in the illusion that we're alone, trapped in the illusion that we're not acceptable or worthwhile the way that we are. So the first step, finding support. And that means really speaking to your friends, whatever that looks like, about who you are, the essence of you, and what you struggle with and what you're gifted with. Or it can mean doing a 12-step program like our guest Brandy mentioned, or going to a leadership training like Amy mentioned, or one of the groups that I run, or a workshop, or a retreat, or a meditation sangha. It doesn't matter the form, it's what's right for you, but what matters is that you start today in taking a risk to share who you really are with an empathetic and caring group of people. Trust me. It'll mean something to you, and it will immediately and viscerally begin to change your experience of yourself, give you more confidence, make you less afraid to go into that inner world, and hey, actually just make you feel more happy inside. So reach out today. And if you're someone who sees that someone around you is suffering and they're being quiet, reach out to them too. It's the kindest thing you can do. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.